Yeah, and I'm back on it again. Yo, check it out. This is an example of what, politics is for minorities, essentially in America. The reaction you get when there's minorities that, and I guess average people, everyday people, not just ethnic minorities per se, but minorities in different fashions or broken up into different aspects of society still, like middle class, lower class, middle class, upper class, these kind of things also, right? So, but whenever you see movements that are designed to address the people, the everyday people, the average person, right? That also includes people that have been discriminated against because that can be an average experience almost, depending on where you come from, right? Exactly. Um, but this is an example of what you get from it, what fosters, and that is like some of the blatant attacks, personal attacks you could imagine, and they also spring out of nowhere, you know. And it just occurred to me that like Candace Owens, she also does this often, but although I've never talked about her really before, um, maybe once before a year ago or so, right? But now it's election season again, and her and Joe Brown have teamed up together. They have teamed up to make a team, and they are team hater Kamala Harris. They're the Kamala Harris's haters, essentially, and it is incredible. I find it really hard to watch just because it doesn't make a lot of sense. If you ask me, just the parts that I've read. What's up, Donnie? But yeah, just the parts I've read, but or listened to, I'm sorry. But this is like it's just bizarre some of the things that they're saying. Um and this reminds me of they even at one point they try to connect Kamala Harris with Jim Jones because hey, it's the same state and so there must be a connection. It is ridiculous, but the way they go into it and you listen to it, it's like you're dealing with somebody who's like really personally attached to Kamala Harris somehow. And you would think they would be to go this far with talking about her, but no, it's not. They're like people, that should have no real personal connection to her. They're going very personal against her. But I just wanted to yeah, review some of that. And then there's another part where I'm going to stop it and break it down, but they start trying to draw the connection between Marxism and Kamala Harris's father. And the way they do it, it is bizarre also. So I'm going to go into that a little bit when we hear it. This is like 2.5 hours long, so I won't be able to go through all of it, right? But let's try to keep it to those two parts when we hear it, and then whatever else comes about. I got like maybe 40 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour. So let's let it kick in and let it do what it do. Let's see here. Play, please.
Now in session. Man, I have been waiting to say that. The plaintiff is Candace Owens. The defendant is Kamala Harris. The case before the judge is that she says she's black, and I say she is not. And so it is an honor for
Okay, so there is the first distinction that you see her make. She says, Candace Owens said she is black, but Kamala Harris is not black. That's Candace Owens' trip. But this is what I'm curious about. Who cared that Kamala Harris was black or Indian or whatever? Who cared about that? Who brought it up originally? Why was it important for someone to bring it up, right? And my thoughts on that are the same people like her are the ones who bring it up. It's not Kamala Harris bringing it up. It's Owens who's bringing it up and asking her to answer for her ethnic identity. And Candace Owens is a woman. She's a woman, and she's coming at Kamala Harris like that. I mean, and is it by surprise? No, it's not by surprise because she's been a hater. She's earned a living off of hating off of Kamala Harris, really for some time. You know, it's like Kamala Harris's ascension, and so be it Candace Owens also. She's just been like haggling her the entire time, haggling, like really, or heckling, whatever, and both, right? Now check this. Yeah, she's a Kamala Harris hag. That's what Candace Owens is, if you ask me, if you get my drift, right? Now, professionally. But then she teams up with Judge Brown. What a coincidence. Same name, Brown, the guy who's like all up into, yeah, but what's her great 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 grandfather's, wasn't he a slave master by the name of Brown in Trinidad or what, Jamaica or something? Wasn't she? Yeah, I think so. He has the same damn last name himself. And that is, again, shows you the ridiculousness of his argument because the same could be said of him in the US. What kind of point is that for a person to make when the same thing could apply to them, the same rule of thumb? They went after Kamala Harris talking about, the hagglers, the haters, right? They went after, including Candace Owens and Judge Brown, they went after her, find out who her great granddaddy was, great 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 granddaddy on an island called Jamaica, way out in the middle of nowhere. Ooh, real spooky. And then they try to say that, wasn't he a slave master in Jamaica? Wasn't he that? Isn't that how she got her name? Well, Joe Brown, what about you? Where'd you get your name from? Can't the same be speculated about you? Was your great 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 grandfather a slave master in the United States or in America, in the colonies? Brown, how'd you get that name? What is you? What are you? Who you be? You know what I'm saying? Like, witnessing this, it gives me some insight to see it on video too. I've made some other observations, but I'm not going to say so much yet. But let's play some of this and see what it do. All right, here we go.
For me to host Judge Joe Brown, who has been making the rounds because he vaguely remembers a conversation, not vaguely, he very much remembers a conversation that he had with her daddy. And the things that Kamala is saying today don't really match what Kamala's father, Donald.
So her and Judge Brown, right? They team up to come and tell everybody what conversations they heard her daddy was having back in the day, y'all. Back in the day. What part of the day? Let's be clear. Back in the Oakland days, in the Los Angeles days, but Oakland days, the Black Panther days, you know, the COINTELPRO days, all of this, and then also they're gonna attach the other element to it. Um, so I'm gonna let it play. Watch. Yeah.
Harris told Judge Joe Brown, welcome to Candace.
Well, the judge is in the house, dear. So here I am. Anyway, I came right down the road from Memphis, and
Yeah, I done had a couple of Scotch whiskeys, and here I am, y'all. The judge is in the house,
too
y'all.
far.
What it do?
So you have been all over the news. Actually, right now you probably are not on Twitter, but there's a clip of you that's gone absolutely viral.
Well, I am on Twitter, X.
Oh yeah, you're on X. Okay, good.
Yeah, you can get me at Judge Joe Brown TV.
Okay, so did you know that you were going viral this morning?
No, I didn't, but it wouldn't be the first time. And then they try to knock that down. Kwame Brown and I did a thing 2 or 3 years back,
Blah
and
blah
we got
blah.
up to
Is he doing a
9.8
Trump?
million views, which is
I hope he's not doing a Trump, like gonna divert
definitely
or weave.
viral. But then we started knowing that the views started dropping, and then if you look at it now, it's like 800,000. I guess they didn't want anybody to look at 9.8 million. You want to see what's going on. Well, that's not anything compared to what Trump and Musk get on X.
Yeah, well, the numbers that you're pulling right now, I would say, are equivalent to Trump and Musk, particularly a clip of you that's on stage. So I'm going to tell you what I saw, and I've actually played clips of you on my show as well. The thing that I love about judges is you tend to have a really good memory and a great record with the truth. And I can say, after speaking with
Sorry. A great record of the truth. Judges. Come on, has she not forgotten the Supreme Court? I mean, or what is this? There's no job. You would hope that ethics, everyone have practice good ethics and standards. You know, when doing, acting, practicing their profession, right? Now, in her case, she's making it sound like there's no faltering there. Like there's not some that don't practice good ethics or, abuse the system.
With you leading up to this, you don't forget a thing.
We just supposed to trust him because he's a judge, and judges don't lie. Judges are next to, Jesus.
You do not.
Sometimes you want to forget some things. You say, "Oh no, did I do that back when?" But then sometimes you don't.
Yeah, and you clearly remember a
That sounds like a self-admission.
lot, and you were running the exact same circles as Kamala Harris. You're out in
Look,
California.
so they establish it now. He was running the same circles as Kamala Harris. What the hell does that mean? The same circles? What? Hold on. This can't be right. They're at okay, 303. Okay. Let me just bring it back a tiny bit. 303. Oh my God. There it is.
Brown, welcome to Candace.
Well, the judge is in the house, dear. So here I am. Anyway, I came right down the road from Memphis, not too far.
So you have been all over the news. Actually, right now you probably are not on Twitter, but there's a clip of you that's gone absolutely viral.
Well, I am on Twitter, X.
Oh yeah, you're on X. Okay, good.
Yeah, you can get me at Judge Joe Brown TV.
Okay, so did you know that you were going viral this morning?
No, I didn't, but it wouldn't be the first time. And then they try to knock that down. Kwame Brown and I did a thing 2 or 3 years back, and we got up to 9.8 million views, which is definitely viral. But then we started knowing that the views started dropping, and then if you look at it now, it's like 800,000. I guess they didn't want anybody to look at 9.8 million. You want to see what's going on. Well, that's not anything compared to what Trump and Musk get on X.
Yeah, well, the numbers that you're pulling right now, I would say, are equivalent to Trump and Musk, particularly a clip of you that's on stage. So I'm going to tell you what I saw, and I've actually played clips of you on my show as well. The thing that I love about judges is you guys you tend to have a really good memory and a great record with the truth. And I can say, after speaking with you leading up to this, you don't forget a thing. You do not.
Sometimes you want to forget some things. You say, "Oh no, did I do that back when?" But then sometimes you don't.
Yeah, and you clearly remember a lot, and you were running the exact same circles as Kamala Harris. You're out in.
How is it possible for him to be running the same circles as Kamala Harris? They're not. What? Come on. What is the age difference between these two? Let me just. Oh my goodness. Oh, my goodness. What is the age difference between Judge Joe Brown and man? They do not appear to be the same age. No, of course not. There's 17 years difference. Now look, how the hell could he be running the same circles as Kamala Harris? And listen, I'm gonna tell you, if you're a black person, I would be offended that these people are speaking this in the name of blackness. I would be offended because you just heard it yourself. They just said he was running the same circles as Kamala Harris. Are you calling this journalism? Really? Like, seriously, y'all, listen to this shit. Listen to this shit right off the top. Right off the top, they're going to challenge your intellect. It just, you know what they say about in plain sight? Hiding in plain sight, stupidity, hiding in plain sight. Let's see here. Let me try to manage that a little bit better. Boop. Let's go.
California. So, can you explain to us how you met her father, just how that came about?
What was
I ran the same circles as Kamala Harris, and this is how I met her father. 17 years difference in age. Hmm. Right. Were they together? Was she with her father? Was she with her? Where were they? I mean, you know, I should just say, as a person, regardless of whether he shares her politic or not, he should be disgusted with himself for even bothering so personally with someone, because he looks like an obsessed person, like for some reason, like one who's just particularly obsessed with debunking Kamala Harris based on her ethnicity. Did she work at McDonald's? Is she black? Same name, same story, probably, right? Judge Brown, Kamala Harris Brown. I mean, isn't that you know, but in any case, uh, I don't really understand what's going on here. This is like he's an old man haggling a woman 17 years younger than him, who, by the way, has a record. Even if he disagrees with her record, that means she actually was active. She's won. Anyway, this is what pure haterism is. Can you think, like, when you're a kid, like, would you think when you get older your biggest opponent would be some 69-year-old or 70 something? How old is, man? How old is Judge Brown right now, man? How old is Judge? How old is Judge Brown? 77 years old. 70 years. 7 7. He is 7 7. He doesn't look too bad for 7 7, but that brain and them beady eyes remind me of Lord Jamar.
was going on is well, this is a convoluted story. Magic Johnson's mother, a fine woman, and
He's like a mix between Lord Jamar, and Donald Trump.
one of her buddies, who was the oldest sister of a personal friend of mine, would always involve me in these projects with the islands, right? So they got me down there, and
Oh, so now he's saying he's involved with some projects in the islands.
I
Okay.
was supposed to participate in the youth program in Jamaica. So I was the guest of the prime minister and the governor general.
Yeah, let's conspire. Let's conspire about that. Let's think about that. What does that take? What could that be like? Who gets to get in those circles? Is it the Illuminati, according to Judge Joe Brown, or is it just when it's Kamala Harris? I don't know.
And who was that at the time?
Well, let's not get into that because there's
No, let's get into that.
some complications with
Okay.
that.
Yeah, right. Now, how do you go public? How do you go public, y'all? He got a story to bust. He's Ghostbusters, but he got aspects of his story he don't want to get into.
And
And Candace Owens just, oh, okay. She's the journalist. Oh, okay.
my ex and I, we were attendees at this dinner, so we got introduced to everybody's favorite Hindu professor. And you were sitting next to my ex-wife, or wife at the time, for a while, so we all had this back and forth questioning thing at the table. So it was quite interesting, and I recalled running to him back in the 60s. He and his wife were grad students up in the Bay Area, and I was an undergrad at UCLA, so there was
Does he seem like he's telling the truth? I mean, does this seem like a real like truthful, observation, or what do you call it when he's just a recollection, or is this manufactured?
A back and forth between Los Angeles, man, where you go crazy and then go to the asylum up in the Bay Area. So it was interesting what was going on back then.
So how was his demeanor when you guys are at this dinner and you're in Jamaica? What do you think about him?
He's reserved,
Reserved. Okay.
dignified, laid back.
Yeah, Judge Brown,
But still involved in,
he's put himself at the center of their lives.
and my understanding is that he's been involved in politics actually for a long time, has had an interest in politics his entire life, I would say.
Yes, quite. I'd call him a Marxist.
A Marxist. And that is exactly what I've heard from a family member of his, that he, from the time he was very young, was always involved in Marxist meetings and Marxist groups, kind of a dyed-in-the-wool commie. I don't think that's something that he's ashamed of, by the way. I think he wrote about in the Jamaican Global Online how he was sort of raised up on the politics via who he purports to be his grandmother, Christiana Brown.
You see, that's the thing right there. She wants to believe whatever she wants to believe. There's no definition to the things that she would not believe, or would believe. It's just as long as it suits her purpose, she's willing to believe that. So she just conveniently pushed aside his own knowledge of his own family, and just because it's not what she wanted to hear, but yet she trusts the rest of it if it speaks to her narrative, but not only that, let's keep it real. Hold on, things worth knowing. Let me see what she said. She's a grifter. She is always so-called exposing something or someone. Yeah. And this is garbage. She's peddling garbage. This is like pure garbage. And, the people that should be most offended by this are the folks that she claims to be representing. Like, because this is pure, unadulterated garbage, made up, manufactured things. You see? Now, when you're running for president, you're a public figure, so it changes the dynamic in a civil court, like how you could respond to things like this. But at some point, you just have to wonder, like, what people would be so crazy to just believe what Candace Owens and Jim Brown say. Just believe them. Just believe it because they said it, right? That's kind of silly. But here's the thing. Back into this Marxist stuff. They're trying to establish that her father was a Marxist. Yeah. But if you go back, this is where you have to understand. If you go back to the 60s of the US, right? All of the groups, black, anti-fascist groups were basically Marxist or Marxist aligned, right? So you can't judge it from that perspective. It was still an entirely different movement than Marxism. So what it was something else. It took place in the United States according to the laws of the United States. So obviously, how Marxist can you be when you live in a capitalistic society, right? In a nation where you're voting, right? Where you're participating in voting. I mean, for some Marxists, that's so funny how they participate in free voting and politics, whenever they want. And is that Marxist? But that's what I wanted to say. So they're about to manipulate and warp it. Just like in the days of slavery, the Republicans were the party that was anti-slavery at that time. And the Confederates were pro-slavery, right? The Democrats, well, that shifted. So these groups are no longer have the same meaning anymore, not socially, not politically, right? So they're trying to pull a switcheroo, by making you think something about them being engaged with Marxism or having an understanding of Marxism back in the 60s, these black revolutionary groups that somehow that makes them Marxist, I think that's a bunch of lunacy. And people change their political affiliations quite frequently if you look at free societies, and most people do change but first of all, you can you can understand Marxism, communism, socialism, capitalism, and all these things. You can debate them in college. You can go to classes where you debate them, right? Different components, how they also borrow from each other in some ways too. So it's not that you're going to be a Marxist and it's necessarily a unilateral experience, or the same with democracies. Democracies across the globe are not unilateral things. They're not exactly the same. Some have still have kings and queens, but they claim to be social democracies, right? In somewhat. The U.S. doesn't have a king and a or queen. It claims to be a democracy, but it has a electoral college also, right? So she's trying to spookify and attach something on a person she doesn't even know. Um, these people don't. Well, Candace Owens, she doesn't know Kamala Harris's father. She never will. She will never live in that time period. But her understanding of it tells me that she hasn't been around people in any of those movements or struggles that she's attempting to attach Kamala Harris's father to. She like lacks total any type of understanding about that. You see what I mean? Because if she did, Lord knows she wouldn't be out on the camera playing this fool position like this. You see what I mean? Those people are their own group of people. They deserve respect in their own time period in the 50s and 60s and 70s, you could say, right? They are among themselves. So we need to respect them and not mix them up in any of this kind of stuff. But they want to do that, of course, because they need this communist, Marxist thing to sell and spookify people on Kamala Harris with. You see what I mean? So they're going to do it anyway. Yeah, but this is, to me, this is just already deplorable. But let's go.
But it's interesting that you said you were introduced to a Hindu professor.
Mm-hmm.
What made you think that he was Hindu?
That's the introduction.
That was the introduction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And your wife?
What is she?
No, did she get to talk to him about that?
She talked to him, and it was interesting because at that time there was no reason to put him with anybody special until you started putting all of it together. He was a Marxist, and when he was up in the Bay Area, a lot of things were going on.
But see, now he skipped the subject. So now he's not talking about the ethnicity anymore. And so you could see something's fake about that right there, that little interaction, because he just skipped over it. Now he's talking about him being a Marxist again. Whatever happened to him being a Hindu? How'd you find out he's a Hindu? Right? Because that's what they said. And now he's not going to explain it.
On up there, that was Liberty Park up there, where in 1964 a lot of what was going on that led to the rousing unrest of the 60s and the public demonstrations was happening. My in-laws were from up there, and I didn't know them then because I think my ex-wife was born the same year that Kamala was born. So, this was before all of that. But this was the locus of a lot of things going on. The Black Panther Party was up there, developed. So it was pretty radical in Berkeley, Oakland, Richmond. And this is where the action was. UCLA.
So, in other words, he wasn't any different than any other brother at that time. What is this? That's the whole point of it. You see, they're trying to spookify it by trying to say, oh, he was a Marxist. Kamala Harris' father was a Marxist. Look, anybody in their right mind only needs to refer to people that were in that movement at that time, and they will tell you what it was. You see, so it's not about being Marxist. because you're living in the United States of America, another government. But what they did was learn from some Marxist ideals and principles. That doesn't mean they practice all of them unilaterally. And also, for those that just want to know, I mean, socialism, democracy, capitalism, all these different societies borrow from each other, you know, depending on what it is. It could be different from any nation to nation, but they do borrow from each other. Marxism, socialism, communism, capitalism, democracy, all of these things, there are whole ways of governance. However, that doesn't studying them doesn't make one a Marxist. You see, that's different.
Was in Los Angeles that was a bit more civilized. Really wild up there in the Bay Area. So he gravitated to that. That's the way I would analyze it.
And let me do something real quick. I'm sorry. She has been souped up to believe she could become the first woman president. She hates Kamala because she's taken a place. But let me look into something here, real quick. I did try to find out who the heck Candace Owens is. So let me play that real quick because she is kind of strange when it comes to that. Um, Her background. Let me see. Is this playing? Okay, 2 seconds. Let me see. Maybe it didn't play. There we go. I think it should be playing now. What? Oh, that's me. Sorry about that. That's this. Now, let me go over to here. There it is. Because I wanted to find out some general information about her background.
Candace Owens is a prominent American conservative commentator, political activist, and author known for her vocal criticism of the Democratic Party, the Black Lives Matter movement, and progressive policies. She has gained widespread attention for her support of former President Donald Trump and her critiques of what she perceives as liberal or left-wing agendas, particularly regarding race, politics, and culture. Background and early life. Born April 29, 1989, in Stamford, Connecticut. Education. Owens attended the University of Rhode Island, where she studied journalism, but she left the program before completing her degree. She has mentioned struggling financially while in college and eventually decided not to return. Early career. Before her rise in political activism, Owens worked in various fields, including fashion industry. Owens worked at Vogue magazine as an intern during her early career. Private sector. She held a role at a private equity firm in New York as an administrative assistant, and later she became involved in marketing. Shift to political activism. Candace Owens initially gained attention for her involvement in a website called Degree 180, which published anti-conservative content. However, her political views began to shift in 2017 when she started speaking out against liberal ideologies, which marked her transition to a more conservative platform. In the same year, Owens launched a YouTube channel and became known for her outspoken criticism of progressive politics, especially on issues like race and identity politics. She became a vocal supporter of Donald Trump and has often criticized the Democratic Party, arguing that its policies harm the Black community. Key contributions and rise to prominence. 1. Blexit movement. Owens founded the Blexit movement, a play on Brexit, which encourages Black Americans and other minorities to leave the Democratic Party. She argues that the Democratic Party takes Black voters for granted and promotes victimhood, while conservative values emphasize self-reliance and economic opportunity. Number 2. Conservative media presence. Owens frequently appears on conservative media platforms like Fox News and has become a high-profile figure in the conservative movement. She has also been a speaker at various Republican and pro-Trump events.
All right, I'm going to stop it right there. Now, obviously, basically, she has no background in any of the things she claims she's interested in speaking on, particularly politics, right? There's nothing there that would make her an expert on anything, not even journalism. Really, like seriously. And you cannot rely on people like this that have no background in social politics and political science. Uh, no one. You can't, because the thing about it is that they won't be able to, number one, be able to decipher um, different political groups and see any commonality, but at the same time, without any political background, like knowledge of the Constitution, um, like real knowledge, theoretical and practical, like arguing, being a lawyer, something like that. She is completely devoid of any political panorama, you see? So I would be cautious to adopt any type of um, thought or idea or concept that she puts forth regarding anyone, because there's just no evidence there. She has no experiment to
So
do so.
there
You know, there's nothing there backing it up for Candace Owens. And now you have Judge Brown, a lawyer, a judge. Sorry, and he has many years behind the bench. I don't want to look up his background, general background right now, but obviously, if the man is a judge, then he had to start somewhere. Let me see something. When did Judge Brown begin uh, in law? Yeah, let me see. How about that? That's a general question. So maybe yes, 1970. So right, UCLA, 1973. So right. So you have to ask yourself, why is it that these two are connected? He his he's been practicing law, judging or as an attorney for longer than she's been alive, and he has credentials. She doesn't really. I mean, she has credentials, but they don't match up to his. You see what I mean? And so it makes me wonder on a lot of levels, like what is her background to be able to push back, give him any pushback in an interview at all anyway. But secondly, she should be able to, because any person can. The first thing you have to suspect is, why the hell is this man spending so much time talking about Kamala Harris? Like, is it just because he can put together some pennies for retirement, some coins? Is it that? Is it a financial reason behind it? Um, and if it is a financial reason behind it, can someone else exploit it? You see, so this is what comes to my mind when I listen to him. But let's hear some more.
was a Marxist thing up there. Also, this was during the rise of Jim Jones, which is another thing. You know Jim Jones, the Kool-Aid in the picnic.
Hmm.
Kamala's sponsor, Willie Brown, Maxine Waters, and some other people Nancy Pelosi were staunch supporters of Jim Jones. Interesting, yes. You need to look into that. You'll find some very interesting things like, hey, this was your mentor, and he was a supporter of this. So it was a center for a lot of radicalism at the time.
So it's so funny how life happens this year, and I don't even know what the reason was. Actually, I do. A friend of mine sent me a book, and the book was called Chaos. And she said, "You will love this for your birthday." I read, and I opened the book, and I couldn't put it down. It was the subtitle of the book is something along the lines of Charles Manson, MK Ultra in the 1960s. Okay, and essentially, it's this reporter who was just supposed to write a magazine article on like the 30th anniversary of the Manson murders, and he had no horse in the race. Starts doing calling around, making some calls. He was very well known, and everyone was scared to talk to him. Long story short, he ends up finding
All right.
that the
Now you see they try to draw some connection here between Manson. I don't believe this. This is ridiculous. Now, and again, why is that? Here's the premise, the basic premise that opens up all the doors for every other thought. The premise is this: same state, they must know each other, must be a connection. Same state, must be a connection. Let's look and dig in. By the way, I've already looked into who her great grandfather was and speculated that he was a slave master in Jamaica, you know. And now I'm going to go dig, you know, I'm going to dig deeper. Man, this dude is like a professional stalker. I mean, imagine if somebody went up in his business like that, that would be deplorable also. That would be deplorable. What's the word for the day? Good morning, VB. Yeah, hold on. Let's see here. What you say? Things worth no. She did not find the she did not found the Blixit movement. She stole it. Oh, possibly. Yeah, she could have. She could have. Let me see here. Yeah, you never heard of the Jim Jones mess? Yeah, they tried to connect her to Jim Jones, I think, and whoever else, anybody else. Every ex murderer associated with California. That's who they're going to associate Kamala Brown with now, because that's what these stupid people want to hear. They want to hear something absurd like that. And guess what? They don't want to know if it's true or not, because it doesn't even have to even sound true, halfway true. It could be absurd as you want to make it be. Yo, they're going to draw that connection, and that is what a cult is, officially, you know. Um, these two, it's just my opinion, obviously, but these two are pathetic and bad, very bad examples, very bad examples. And when you get old like this, I'm not dissing Judge Brown personally, but it's just a warning to people that get in his age group. Don't let don't let the popularity on the internet, because people think that old people want to be left alone. No, some old people want to be in the mix. They some old people, they will thrive on this internet shit, if they get the right feedback, like seriously. And could maybe, for some it could be the second opportunity to make right or do things differently. I don't know. But the first thing that occurs to me is that if he's doing it for pension money, that's not a good reason to do what he's doing, to come up with all these conspiracy theories, because that's that's the base that's the base of it. That's the base of what he's doing. If he wasn't getting a dime for it, would he be doing it? You got to ask yourself that. And Candace Owens is giving zero pushback. I mean, she looks like she's thinking right now, but there's nothing going on in her head. It's just she's going to facilitate whatever um, message she wants to get, and that is Kamala Harris is an alien. That's her whole thing. You're gonna believe it because I said it. Kamala Harris is an alien, and we have people that we know. Back in the 1950s, there was a small island where there was a crash, and we know it. Yes, that was Kamala Harris' great grandparents, because we looked and there was no records of a Brown before that time period. They're gonna that's really what it is. They up in her business, man. When is it uncool to be stalking somebody like that? When is it uncool? They try to connect serial killers to Kamala Harris. Yeah. I'm serious, man. Already, how many minutes is this? Yo, you missed a whole lot. They came straight out the bat, man. They look. This is not even nine. This is like 7 minutes in, Donnie. They came right out with all the conspiracies. Next is going to be like she have alligator blood. You know, I'm serious. You may as well. May as well. Let's watch a little more.
The CIA was intimately involved, and now this is public knowledge. You can look this up on Wikipedia, that Charles Manson was a Fed, that the CIA was involved, was the
Charles Manson was a Fed. The CIA was involved. Oh, really? Oh, really? Where'd you hear that from? I can't trust a damn thing she says. Charles Manson, a Fed. Oh my
there the
God.
night of the Manson murders. It takes him 30 years. He ended up getting fired from the magazine. He ends up writing this book. He went completely broke because he had to do so many FOIA requests because he was going, what is happening? What really actually happened on this night? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because
Look, the man went out on a crazy hunch that destroyed his career and he couldn't let go. And he couldn't let go. She can't hear that. She can't hear that. You know? She can't see that for what that is. You know? That's a conspiracy rumor put out about Charles Manson, by the way. People um they try to say that Charles Manson was connected to law enforcement, right? And because he kept getting released from prison. Well, if that's the case, that would be all white folk in America, right? I mean, wouldn't that be the case? Or is it only Charles Manson? Only him, you know, nobody else. He's special. You know what I mean? Like, come on, due to the fact that he was repeatedly released from prison despite committing various crimes prior to the murders. So that makes you think he's an FBI agent. These theories often speculate that he may have been protected as an informant or allowed to continue his activities for some larger hidden purpose. However, these claims have not been substantiated by any reliable evidence. You know, um, in any case, what the hell do this got to do with Kamala Harris? You know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell? Who gives a shit if Charles Manson was a dope fiend who was getting other dope fiends locked up? I don't know. you know, they they done connected Kamala Harris and that was like her great 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 granddaddy, her Marxist father, and now Charles Manson, y'all. Somehow, why? Same state. They was in the same state. Despite their age difference, they were in the same state. You know what I'm saying? Like just hanging out.
elements of this book, as he goes through understanding that the feds were
Fucking
involved. A lot
vagabond,
of this
yes.
radicalism that people thought was organic, whether we're talking about the hippies movement, LSD, things that were happening that to the public
For an FBI agent, he sure like to live on the street, Donnie.
to be sort of these natural movements, actually entailed operations from the Fed, COINTELPRO, MK Ultra. You're talking about the Black Panthers. Some students broke into the FBI office.
Yo, man, they're totally mangling the 60s. It's like the they have some false understanding of what's going on. They just really, if you listen to Candace Owens, you would get no understanding of what was going on in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. None. No idea of that, and you should understand that just like religion, you could go to school and study different religions. You can also go to school, universities today, and study different forms of government, right? You can. That's what people do. It's called political science, right? You could go there and study it. Universities. You could take it. There's a lot of that going on, and so just because you study these things and you argue these things in school, and you might use portions of different ones to implement, because you might think, okay, this might be better, a way of approaching it. Okay, that's what people were doing in those times in general. That's not a special thing. And she's making it seem like, Marxism, communism. Oh, he on some secret mission for who? So all the Black Panthers on a secret mission for some communist government. It's like, get out of here. You know, just get out of here. That's crazy. That's just the times for you. If you weren't, they were so extreme at those times. If you weren't an extreme right wing racist, then you were a left wing, a Marxist leaning person, basically. If you wasn't leaning Hitler, you was leaning the other way, basically. But yeah.
That time, and were able to get documents which showed that the feds were tracking a bunch of people. Obviously, we know that with Martin Luther King. And this journalist who was from San Francisco and attended Berkeley.
Yeah, I'm dropping the link. There's the link. There's the link. Hop on up.
Recently wrote a piece saying that he knew that Kamala's mother was involved with the feds and the program MK Ultra. And
get the hell out of here. You hear this? You hear this? Every rabbit hole, everything that you want to waste your time on, MK Ultra, that Kamala Harris' mother. Oh, what a coincidence. What a coincidence. Wow. What's next? I told you, alligator blood next. What's up, Pumpkin?
Hey, hey,
What's up? What you think about
man.
this?
Oh man, you don't want to know what I think about this trick up here. I cannot stand this girl. This girl is just totally reaching. She knows absolutely nothing. If you see her, she talks fast and she talks what white supremacist people want a thing. And Joe
Oh,
Brown, his brain just done turned to mush. She stole the Blexit movement from a woman named Patrice Cullors. And she took it and she trademarked the name. She stole it from this woman.
wow. She
So she
trademarked the
didn't
name.
start anything. She trademarked the name, so, and there was nothing the woman could do to fight her. She stole that movement. If you check the Brexit movement, it's not what she says it is. There aren't that many black people that followed her, and most
Oh, okay. Yeah, Pumpkin just fell out, but she's gonna hop back up. Yeah, that is news. I didn't know that because I'm not a stalker of Candace Owens. Like, I don't be all up in her business, but every once in a while I have to notice some things. Yo, you
no,
back,
you
Pumpkin?
have yeah. For some reason, it went out. She excuse me, she steals everything. She knows nothing. She talks about everything and knows nothing. She went before Congress. She said that Hitler was a good person. She swears she didn't say it, but it's proof. If you go back, you can find it. This girl knows absolutely nothing. She doesn't believe that racism exists, but yet used the NACP to sue these kids who one of them their father was the um the mayor or something in the town she lived in, and she got money from the NACP, like $40,000 for they won a case for her. Now she doesn't believe in the NACP. This girl is like a fart in the wind. It
She's
just she
mental.
blows and it goes. She's
Yeah, she's
terrible.
mental.
She's terrible. She needs to be canceled. Joe Brown, his mind has turned to mush. Something is wrong with him. He's old and stupid acting. But this girl, I cannot stand this girl.
Yeah, okay. That she fell out again. Yo, this I mean, when I look at Judge Joe Brown with this, to me it seems like he's been lured there by Candace Owens, the much younger female has lured him there, and he's going to get some money, and he definitely looked like he'd been doing a little drinking before he showed up. And I'm not being critical of it, I'm just saying, come on now, I can tell. But unless he's on some kind of medication or something and it's tripping him out. But he seemed, it just makes me wonder here. But just listening to Candace Owens, there's no pushback. Um, Judge Joe Brown, I mean, come on, how they really about to go down this path of, I don't know, where are they not willing to go? First, you know, she was made in a
She,
test tube in a lab. Now it's what? Go ahead, come with it. What's up with the
I
conspiracy?
bet she's a grifter. She was all for Trump until Trump didn't invite her to speak at the convention. This
Uh-huh.
girl goes anyway. Anyway, she's terrible. She's horrible. She was fired from Turning Point USA. I think that was with Charlie Kirk. She was fired from PragerU, which is not a university, it's just a right wing talking show.
Mm.
She was fired from the Daily Wire. You
Oh,
know,
really?
she
Okay.
she was fired from the Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro.
Oh,
Ben
okay.
Shapiro. She was
Oh, wow.
fired from there. She was fired from there. She had a show, I can't remember the name of it, where she doxed people. She just put people's business all out in there.
Oh, really? Oh, that's terrible. Oh, that is terrible. I mean, you know what? It's just, what can I say? What can I say? Hold on, Pumpkin's coming back in.
Yeah,
Yeah, what can I
I
say?
don't know
Go ahead.
why this keeps going out. Ben Shapiro got rid of her because of what she said, the stuff she said, which I agreed with her about that it was genocide, but she's just all over the place. She's with Kanye West, she's with anything to stay relative. I believe, I might be wrong, but I believe that she will once this MAGA movement is over, because this MAGA movement is gonna die. It's on its entail with this election and stuff, and Democrats are gonna be put in there.
It's gonna
But
morph. It's
the,
gonna morph into something else. Something. But I hear you. I
It'll
believe.
it'll morph into something else, but it's not going to be as powerful as it is because the Democrats are going to pay more attention to it now. People are going to pay more attention to who they vote for because they don't ever want Donald Trump in again because he'll try to get back in. This and Joe Brown, he's just old and getting senile. That's his problem. These two will do anything to stay relevant, to
Yeah,
stay
that's so
relevant.
bad.
She's
That's so
not,
bad.
because these people have souped this girl up to thinking she's smart enough to be.
What happened? You fell out? Oh, she fell out again. Wow. But yeah, okay. So hopefully Pumpkin will get back up. Don't forget to close your other browser, Pumpkin, when you log up. Here we go. Okay,
Uh,
she's back.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm a, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop trying to talk in there. But this girl is irrelevant. These people got this girl thinking she could be president. Her family, from what I understand, she got some criminals in her family. She don't. Evidently her black family don't support her. She had a friend a black girl who she was friends with in high school, and she was the friend was ripping her too. You can find all of this if you look it up and stuff. But she doesn't have much with a peaky up whatever that is about herself and stuff. I cannot stand this girl. I can't wait for them to cancel her. I don't know why they haven't canceled her permanently, but I think after this election cycle, if she keep up this nonsense, people are getting sick of her. She sit there. She she
But
takes
you know
and
what?
spends everything.
But you know what,
Uh,
Pumpkin, people, there's always space for a person that's going to deceive black folk. There's always a space for that. And they will always get rewarded, by the same people because that's part of their scam, their scheme. That's their way of doing things. They do things through via proxy. So you have these black folk, Candace Owens, who's spewing the same conspiracy theories as the open racist about Kamala Harris. So she's clearly doing that job. She knows that. She's not that stupid. Like she knows that she's playing the fool because how is it that the same things she say be the same things folks that are called Nazis say? You see, every single time that's the correlation, and she can't explain why that is. Um, so let me see. Is she back? You back, Pumpkin? So she's been knowing she was up to this no good type of sellout behavior for a long time. But so it's pure money, if you ask me. They support each other this way, and every once in a while they get somebody like Mark Robinson. Think about the backgrounds of all these people. She has if Tim, is it Tim Johnson? Do I say his name wrong, or Mike Johnson? One of them, the congressional leader from, what state is he from? I forget. I was just talking about his ass the other day. But in any case, this if this guy has no record, Candace Owens has even less to speak on. Go ahead.
no, what I was going to say, most of her followers are blacks that are um, islanders, foreign women, foreign blacks who have no connection to America, like American history, Black history. If you
Okay.
notice her followers, if you check it out in there. So if I go out again, I'm not going to come back in because this is ridiculous. For some reason, I keep losing the stream. I don't know why, but she's not relevant. What does she know? If you listen to her talk, she never really answers a question if you ask her. She never really. She always puts out a theory that somebody has. She has no. I don't know the word. The word. She has no. N- No, I don't know what to call it, but she
You know what? I hate to say this. Oh, pumpkins out again. I hate to say this, but I gotta, I don't have another way to express this right now. But she reminds me, of course, as a person who was young, came across another black person, and that black person called them a coon, and she just held a grudge about it all this time. That's what she reminds me of, but I don't know if that's true or not.
she
But
did. She she will not speak like Roland Martin invited her to come on the show. She will not speak to intelligent black people. She just won't. She's friends with Charlie Kirk, which I think he's another jackass. He's something that haircut just does something to me. But anyway, she has no knowledge whatsoever. And me and my sister used to argue about her. My sister was like, "Oh, she's so smart." Oh, I would tell my sister she's so gullible, and she was so gullible and stuff. She just talks stupidness. I don't know. Oh, gumption. Well, gumption is a word. I haven't heard that. Yes, she's another Stacy Dash.
she's
She's
another
another
Stacey Dash,
Stacy
right?
Dash.
Yeah, that's so sad. Oh, okay. Pumpkin fell out again. All right. Well, that's how it goes sometimes. I mean, the link is still open. I'm gonna put the link in again. I can remain for like a few more minutes. I just want to check a few things out. Oh, oh, are you back, Pumpkin? Let me see. Okay, there we
I'm
go.
I'm really gonna go this time, but I'm almost settled, so I'm gonna set myself up, and I am going. The way she likes to find dirt on people, it's got to be some dirt on her. Well, it is some dirt on her. She's ignorant. She's stupid. She's
Well,
bought by white
well, you know
supremacy,
something. You
right
know,
wing. She's stupid.
the
She's
thing
stupid.
about her on this topic of what she does, her being a talking head for the extreme right, you know, it's like she never learned anything from history. Either that or all the black people that ever stood up for themselves in history, she must find them deplorable, you know. That's the only way I can figure it out. Like, because I was about to use like Martin Luther King as a reference of a good civil rights leader, right? One that was profound. And also Malcolm X, often I mention them, and there's many others, women as well, right? But it seems to me like she would always have something to point out that she didn't like about them, no matter who you are. If you're black, there's going to be something wrong with how you stood up in the past. To me, that's what it seems like her perspective is, because she never yields. You know, she never yields. She never uses their example. Like for example, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. The media spun them as being opposing views. You know, and maybe to some degree they did have somewhat seemingly opposing views to some degree, maybe, right, on the surface. But they got together and resolved all of that, you know, and smoothly. And, so that is something we can learn from. And what is one of the negative things that happens when we're always going at each other? Well, it makes good ground for other fertile events to happen, you know, things to, accidents or attacks to grow. So, it almost seems like she's trying to conjure that up with no effect, and she's
She
taking that on. Yeah, go ahead, Pumpkin, go ahead.
Oh, she is. And I'm say this, she's playing up to white supremacy. She gets money. They send her money to talk this shit. She's being paid by the so-called billionaires who think Donald Trump. She's being used by the mega thing. She doesn't consider herself black.
Oh, she
She
doesn't?
doesn't consider. Come on, if you know anything about her and follow her, I've been following this girl ever since my sister, before my sister died. My sister was telling me about her, and I was like, "Are you real? Do you really think this? Oh, there's no racism in America. Please, really? There's no racism in America, but you sued because you were
Yeah, I guess the internet is acting up today, and my internet is bad. I'm sorry, y'all. Something I got to figure it out. This for some reason Restream, I like it, but the only thing is it seems to be dragging a little more than StreamYard. For some reason I'm trying to figure it out because I like everything else about it. But yeah, but in any case, these kind of attacks are, if you ask me, they're very ugly, and but you can draw some information from it, like why are these attacks very common right now? Why is it common right now? Why is it relevant right now? you know these kind of attacks, like who where her family is from, who's her family, just this whole, I call it the unobtainable quest. Let's go off on a quest that we can't obtain, right? Instead of going
yeah.
out on a quest that we can get something done on. You know, you're never going to be able to go back and solve all those conspiracy theories that they throw out every second in every conversation in every moment. They throw out, a load of conspiracy theories, like all, and even some of the conspiracy theories go against each other, but they'll throw those out anyway just to try to hit the wall with anything, and people that go down that rabbit hole, or those rabbit holes, they never come back because you have to spend so much time and energy deliberating that, where you could just be much more logical and just like, you just not even going down all of that crazy shit, because if you do, you know that you're missing the point in the beginning, from the top. So it's yeah, you have to see things as more upfront. You're never going to be able to go into people's backgrounds and know if there's some alien blood there, or alligator blood, or if they were related to a Mason, or la la la, any of these things. If you listen to what they've been saying about Kamala Harris, you heard it. They don't believe she's black. That's a problem. Um, they don't believe with how she describes her own ethnicity. They don't agree with how she describes her history. Like, she didn't work at McDonald's. That's such a big deal to find out. Like, she couldn't have worked at McDonald's when she was in college. Where's the proof? It's like, yo, go
You
get,
have to
hello?
you have to prove that you worked at.
You have to prove that you worked at McDonald's before you say anything about it, right? Damn, her pumpkins. Yeah. But in any case, yeah, you have to. That's what they want. Prove you worked at McDonald's 30 years ago. Prove it. 40 years ago, even. Prove it. You know, prove that. We want you to prove that. And when obviously, like, why would you suspect that she would lie about something like that in the first place? What's up with you? Like, to lie about something, is that really what it is? um because the reality is that she has a long record, and a lot of people that know her around her sorority, her college, the community she grew up with, right? And Canada, also in Jamaica, also in the US, right? And her professional career in the US. So basically, I don't see why anyone would need to go to some unobtainable, some conspiracy that they can't prove, when they could clearly just look at the basics and see that no, she's a decent person, and Donald Trump is not. It should be really obvious right about now. So, but let's listen to stubborn Candace Owens and stubborn Joe Brown continue down that stubborn path that they are entitled to, because hey, there's money in this.
And when I read this, it seemed so far out. And then, as I was learning from Donald's family that he was a dyed-in-the-wool communist, and I'm learning that he was extremely secretive, and I'm kind of thinking, why was Kamala's mom, who was like a top-rated scientist?
Maybe that's why they didn't seem to be able to stand each other after a while. There seems to have been some great animosity between mom and dad when they broke up. You might be hitting on the source of the problems.
Look, see, this is entire speculation, right? He's sitting here talking about another man's marriage who's alive. Think about that. Think about how sick that's got to be, you know? And now keep in mind, he could be sued for anything that he does that's damaging. But of course, would that be a good thing to do right now? Would that make sense? Or would it be to just ignore his crazy ass be a better option? You tell me. I think it would be ignore him, because this is like some low key, just extortion. Like, I'm going to talk about you. I'm going to get a pretty penny off of it. And I'm not going to stop until you recognize me,
That
you
was
know?
very widespread. Uh, People don't understand what that was like back in the 60s to be active. We would have meetings or gatherings, and 3 weeks later, the FBI is hauling you in and quoting to you what you said, and you'd say, yeah, freedom of speech, First Amendment, you got that? No, I'm not going to tell you this because you'll get me for making a knowingly false statement. Screw you. I'll take the fifth on that, or get me back. And they'd always manage to get you so they could take you.
Yeah, he is fresh off everybody's channel who got a check. That's my assessment. Um, is that if you got the check, he gonna get down with the program. Um, and this just so happens that they meet and they both have Kamala Harris in mind, Candace Owens and him. So they have her in their sights. It's like a assassin squad, essentially,
Your phone book and get
low
the
key.
numbers out of it. So you took to no longer carrying your black book with you because no telling when the FBI is going to pick you up. And by the way, I was the last judge on that James Earl Ray case, and I know what the FBI did. That quick summation
Okay. So James Earl Ray, so he's gonna drop a bombshell exclusive right about now.
to set the background. Ray had absolutely nothing to do with King dying. The FBI ordered that hit. They recruited a two-man sniper team, not
Yeah, Donnie, exactly. Why does he have glasses on? Why does he have shades?
one from Quantico Marine Sniper School, which was right across the tarmac from the FBI school. They supplied the weapon, which is an XM21, which is a modified M14. I do have in various places around the
What
country.
is this? All right, I'm sorry. He's starting to ramble here. I gotta get past that. I want to hear some more bombshells. Let's see here.
They weren't men, those were the feminists. The ones that hated men, some of the lesbians, the ones that hated that they weren't normal men, that were some of the
Here we
gays, the
go.
ones that hated that they weren't strong men, the soy boys, so to speak. And then the big chunk was this other, hey man, war is a man thing, man. You know,
Yeah, Candace Owens, she is anti-feminist also, if that means something particularly. I don't know if that does myself. And I've never personally been able to tell, what is unilaterally, what is a feminist really. You know what I'm saying? So, but
it's all about love, man. We got to have love power, man. Flower power. Men are about war. You have to change the way men are raised from boys so they're more into expressing themselves. So you got this thing there that had the overwhelming ballast. And that is the impetus for what led us to where we are now. And
yeah, man,
this was an important thing. It was an anti man.
he definitely looks drunk. I mean, he started off sounding drunk to me, but You know, he's the historian.
thing that developed because of this perception that men are responsible for war. Forget about the fact that we've got
Man, I don't even know what the hell he talking about right about
a
now.
large component of the military now, and some striving to be in combat arms that are female. But it was perceived to be a man thing, so no war toys, no cap guns, no water pistols. Boys
Oh,
and
really?
girls had
I mean, yeah. Oh, so he's going over all the classic tropes, except he believes them. You know, I think it's still disgusting, because again, when you can discuss the policy, why not discuss the policy? That's what you're voting for, policy. You're not really voting to know about people personally. Of course, it's traditionally that matters too, right? But it shouldn't be exclusively that, and it shouldn't be, beyond just what a comfortable norm is. In general, it's not a nice thing to pry into people's lives, personal space. You know what I'm saying? Like in general. And you know, sometimes people feel like that's too much to, like that doesn't say much. But I think it does, because if you do your work in other ways, you won't even need to. But in any case, that's my view. So I guess that's what they're talking about here. They're going to speculate on her sexuality.
unisex child clothing, child rearing. Boys are supposed to be able to emote, to cry, to shout, to let it all hang out instead of being so uptight and under self control. And the worst thing you want is the apex predator on the planet Earth to be out of control, which is exactly what they were setting up. And this thing came together, and
Candace Owens is just like the little puppy dog. Yes, yes, Judge.
it juxtaposed itself in a situation where Hollywood's movie studios were going bankrupt in the face of color television. A color TV up until the mid 60s, the
Yo, he just diverted again.
screen looked just like this table. It was round and no bigger than that. And then they got square when the
Hi,
technology
Pumpkin. What's up?
improved. So
You back? What's up,
Yeah,
Pumpkin?
I'm back. I just had to come back on there. Man, Joe Brown is a drunk. That's why he got thrown off. Uh,
You there? Oh my God. Come on. The internet's got to work better than that. You froze up, Pumpkin. You froze up. Hold on. Let me see if I can help you. Are you there? Okay, she's not there. Um, yeah, but this Joe Brown stuff, I don't know how much more I can listen to it, because it's to me it sounds like a bunch of blah blah blah. I'm sure there's some tidbits in there where he really gets extreme, but generally speaking, I would caution people from just openly believing persons like this when it comes to knowing other people um, personally, right? So, because if you can't really prove that he does know them, in fact, personally, or did really have the proximity that he claims to have had to them, which it doesn't sound like to me. Like right off of the bat, they were like he was hanging out with Kamala Harris, pretty much from the top. Just listen to the top of when I start playing it today, when I start doing my reaction. That's one of the first things they say that they kind of screw up. And I believe they're overreaching with this proximity thing, trying to give people the illusion that Joe Brown knows these things firsthand, um, and that it's not just hearsay, like what he heard of himself, and he's trying to turn it into firsthand. Maybe you never know, but to me, I just find it very suspicious that he would have this much personal interest in Kamala Harris. Like, yeah, I find that very strange, because to me, it seems like what people need to do is not be spookified. They need to just focus on the issues, like what is their policy about, and stop trying to spookify people's past, because look, on paper, Candace Owens has really no real braggadocious record to speak of herself. And although Judge Joe Brown does, it's really weird that he and her have this connection over Kamala Harris, two levels of, seem to me like of practice and intellect. You know, he should know that it's not cool to like do this, make up things about people. Um, yeah, but apparently, if it's about the money, I don't know. You tell me. If you think it's about the money, let Joe Brown know. I don't know what it is. I'm like, I think it's probably is, but maybe he's just gone crazy, old man syndrome. I don't know. I hope I don't end up like that, like on the net, like old as hell, talking about Kamala Harris. You know what I'm saying? That would be a strange fate. That would be a strange fate. But in any case, let me drop the link to this video to for y'all, man. It's somewhere. Where is it at? Kamala Harris. Here it is. This is really not a nice video. Um, but yeah, but in any case, it gives you an idea of how extreme people will get, with this stuff. And how they just gonna stalk you, She ain't no better. Okay, hold on. He gone. Let's be for real. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Is this Pumpkin hopping up? You back, Pumpkin? All right.
Up again.
All right,
My
Pumpkin. What's up?
phone
There you
died
go.
out. Yeah,
Okay.
you'll never end up like Joe Brown. Joe Brown, he's suffering from the same thing Wendy Williams suffered from. Watch what I tell you. Pretty soon they're gonna tell you his brain turning to mush. Yeah, he's a drunk. He's a drunk. Why she even had him on her show, I don't know. Everybody knows what's wrong with. That's why his wife left him. He's crazy as hell. Don't nobody follow him. You know. And she's sitting up
Wow.
there, she just doing everything. I've been following this girl, I've been trying, but I'm getting ready to get my stuff set up again, and I'm going. Since you want to dig dirt, I'm gonna dig dirt. I hope they cancel her. They canceled her for a while, but I think if she keeps doing the stuff she's doing, eventually they're gonna take her off of here.
Yeah, it's like I was saying, it's her like a form of harassment, if you ask me. Whenever whenever your channel is based on like making accusations about somebody, at some point you have to ask yourself like, what is the burden of the person making the accusation? Like, what is the burden for them when they make it? And it seems to me like the model that they use is you can make loads of accusations, but never having to prove them yourself. You can just insinuate them, and that's going to fly under the radar, right? Of defamation. Like it won't reach the level of defamation. So it's like low key defamation. And when you have us put out a certain set of facts, but you use them in a way that it fits a narrative that you already want. You see, because in a court per se, right, the things that he said will be challenged, right, by other questions. Everything that he says raises more questions. So those questions will come in a court, right, battle. But here in the public eye, they don't come. So you can't think for everyone. So a lot of people will come to the conclusion that because he's a judge and he's saying it, haha, ergo must be true. Wrong. That is not how it works in reality. It could actually be ergo he's lying. And be careful what you just easily believe. Kamala should sue both of them for defamation. I mean, they're because they're not letting it go. And so if you ask me, over a certain amount of time, if you do that and you haven't naturally subsided yourself, I think that is another form of, like, I don't know, harassment and defamation. That's a high extreme level because that's lasted over a period of time. So I just think it's political stunts. So campaigns generally don't want to blow up Candace Owens or so they don't want to point to it. So they're not even going to acknowledge it. Kind of like this is doesn't matter. This is not for serious people. I think that's how the campaigns generally look at it. But you never know. You never know. She might after the election's over, she might get something in the mail. She might. But in any case, folks, thanks for coming out. Andrea, indeed, Donnie, exactly, my man. Thank you. Things worth knowing. Pumpkin was up here. She hopped up a few different times. And yeah, I appreciate everybody else. Be cool. I will be back later on this evening, or that will be your afternoon. I don't know. It's morning time. It's 2:30 CET, which would make it 8:30 a.m. US time. So yeah, peace, y'all. Bless to everybody. Appreciate everybody coming out. One.
With this eclectic organic style, activating your goosebumps and making